Good evening, viewers, and welcome to another Olympian Gamers unboxing. We haven't unboxed anything from Perry Miniatures for a while, so I thought it was time to lift something off the stack and get the camera set up, and together we can go through one of the best boxes ever made. Now that's quite a grandiose opening, and I'm really nailing my colours to the mast with this one, but I'm saying that this is, in my opinion, one of the greatest plastic kits to be released in the last 10 years. It comes as part of the Perry Miniatures range of War of the Roses figures, which includes Foot Knights, Mercenaries, Billmen and Archers, and these Light Cavalry, and is also complemented by a nice compact metal range. The figures scale well with other companies and are a really good, solid introduction to the hobby. If anyone was on the fence about getting into miniature wargaming, this is probably a good starting point. Now this box, as well as the Peter Dennis artwork, also includes another Perry Miniatures Stalwart, these 40x20 bases. Again, in this setting, I don't particularly mind them, because they're not too bad for basing cavalry on, although they're not the style I use myself, so we'll get rid of them. Now, this set is again really well supported by a good leaflet. It's got good information, painted examples. Inside, there's a great wealth of flags, all different kind of nationalities. If I was to find one tiny problem with this box set, it isn't that there isn't an organisation chart laying out what the parts are or which arms go to which body, and it isn't that there aren't instructions. It's that the flags are printed on both sides of the box, so if you want to have as many of these as possible, we need to photocopy the sheet. That is my only complaint. Now, let's have a closer look at the figures themselves. In the box, you get 4 sprues of 3 horses. These are the same horses included in the Agincourt Knights and in the Men-at-Arms box set. These are the standard Perry medieval horses. But they work really well here. They go together very nicely. I've sped up the footage because there's probably nothing worse than watching glue dry. Well, apart from paint dry. But I've sped it up so you can just kind of see me putting them together. Now, one of the things I really like is that all of the different left and right halves of the Perry horse bodies fit together to form a wide range of natural horse poses. So anyone knows anything about how horses move, about the different kind of gaits, the trots, the canters and all the rest of it, you can kind of make quite natural looking limbs from these horses. Now the figures themselves. Taking a look at the sprues, there's only one slight gripe here, and that's that the 4 bodies on the sprues are quite distinctly differently armoured. So there are 2 bodies which have an arming coat over the top of whatever armour they've got underneath. It's very unlikely they'd just wear a woolen tunic. They've probably got some kind of either jack or even plate underneath this. And then there's one figure with the plate exposed and one figure in a brigandine. The reason I say this is a negative point is because of the weapons, either lances, swords, bows or crossbows, the kind of arms you stick on the bodies are limited by the armour that those arms have. So one of them has a short sleeve with a brigandine protruding, one of them has a short sleeve with plate sleeves, so you can't really put that one on the brigandine body. But if we look through the parts on offer, there's a huge range of different pieces, and one of the things I really like about these is that with this kind of body, and because the Perrys have sculpted the entire range and it's very much in-house production, when you look at their other sets, so this example is from the Mercenaries box, you can actually see that the mounted and dismounted figure options are there. So this brigandine and the chap with the arming jacket open with the plate armour underneath, just there, those ones could be the dismounted versions of these mounted figures. So if you're doing a kind of skirmish gaming where they dismount, and to avoid getting into a historical debate on this one, mounted crossbowmen probably fought both mounted and dismounted, so they probably dismounted to fire and reload. It's quite likely that you might want to have a few figures on a base firing from the ground. The other thing that I really like is, as I say, this is a complete range of boxes, so each box is a complete part of the range, and they're really customizable with the other boxes in the range. So if you look at the Mounted Men-at-Arms box, straight away the shoulder and neck joints are very much the same, so there's a huge range of more helmeted heads if you want to up armour the Light Cavalry. This is kind of a transitionary period in European arms and armour, so it's quite likely that some of these knights which again a term I'm using quite loosely, may well have been transitioning down to being light armoured cavalry, or being more armoured in the case of things like ritters and reiters. These little circular items here, these are very much tied to the Italian wars. So the box art is for Burgundian ordnance companies, but I've chosen to paint mine up for my Italian wars project. These ones just being painted as sort of Romanian cavalry with the Cesare Borgia sort of motif. But you can also equip them as Northern European light horse. This is a unit of mounted crossbowmen, but I've chosen to present them as more being a kind of light cavalry, rather than as a missile unit. Again, there is some debate on this, and I don't really want to open up a massive historical debate in a very short unboxing video. But it's quite likely that when we talk about things like mounted crossbowmen, or mounted archers particularly, that these were not actually sort of horse archers or a missile cavalry unit, but actually kind of cavalry bodyguard. Particularly true for the French mounted longbow, which I've depicted here as a kind of almost like dragoons. This is quite ahistorical, as these were likely heavy or medium cavalry, but they were designated mounted longbowmen. Again, perhaps a good subject for another video. But what I really like is how you get these good marching poses. So the bows and the arrows in arrow bags, the bows without their strings attached, just kind of hung loose over the shoulders. And you're not having to use longbow arms in the sort of firing, knocking and loosing poses. So these, again, as I say, some of my favourite miniatures ever produced by the Perrys. And I would seriously challenge anyone to dispute that or find a better example.